Hey everyone, this is Josiah. I'm going to take you through a fun yard project we're about to do. Quick backstory, when we moved into this house in January, it was completely dry. There wasn't a drop of water on the property. And then after a few weeks, we got a big snowstorm, we got a big rainstorm, and things got really bad quickly. Let me show you what happened. But winter ended, summer began, the waters receded, the sun came out, and the grass started growing, and all our water troubles disappeared. However, I knew I would need to build something and fix the drainage before the next winter began. So this is the yard pre-construction. Got our equipment delivered this morning. And we are going to be putting in some sump pumps with French drains. And the sump pumps will catch the water here at the lowest point, and then we'll send it out around this corner and out to the street. Using this excavator is super tricky at first, but after a few hours you really get the hang of it. Here we were trying to figure out why there was old electrical conduit running through the ground and where it was coming from and where it was going to. Fortunately, it was not in use anymore. I'll show you our progress from day one. So we dug the left half of the system. So this is where our catch basin is gonna go with the sump pump, because it's kind of the low spot in the yard. This right here is gonna be a long trench of French drain that we're gonna fill in with gravel and pipe. And it's gonna have a slight slope all the way down so that the water drains to the sump pump in the middle. So this is about 100 feet long. About 12 inches deep at the start of it, and then getting down to 24 inches deep at the end. And then these two trenches right here are going to be solid pipe that will catch that gutter on the right and that gutter that comes down on the left. And so those gutters will funnel straight into this sump pump as well. And then coming out of the sump basin, there will be a 2-inch discharge line that runs back out through this trench. Here's a look from the top. Got our one French drain channel. We got our gutters. And then we're gonna have 2 more coming down that side as well. Sorry I didn't film it, but we just got our delivery of gravel. We got 12 yards here to spread out into the French drain trenches. Eli, Zach! So we used a pretty cool tool called a water level to check the various elevations along our trench to make sure that we were starting at a high point and the water would flow down the pipe to the low point. One thing that's a little counterintuitive is that the holes in a French drain pipe actually face downward. And the reason for that is because as the water level in the ground rises up, the water can then flow into the pipe and be carried away, and it keeps the groundwater level low. So I wanted to pause for a minute and talk about the different kind of drainage pipes. This one's like a black corrugated pipe. You'll see these everywhere. They're pretty cheap. They're really easy to install because you can bend them around corners. But these little ridges over time collect a lot of dirt and debris and can get clogged up. And then over time, they're not super strong, and so they can get crushed if you drive on them or if too much weight over time goes on them. Home Depot also sells like this thin-walled white pipe, and they even sell it pre-cut with drain holes in them. But this pipe is also pretty weak. Like I can bend it with my hand, and over time, like if you drove a car over this, you would probably break it underground. And so what I used was a heavy duty pipe called Schedule 40 PVC. And so this thing, you can stand on this, you can drive on it. It's super tough. It's much more expensive and it's harder to install, but I feel like it'll be a lot more durable and last a lot longer. And hopefully I never have to dig it up and fix it or replace it. But unfortunately, this kind doesn't come pre-drilled with the French drain holes. And so you'll see those two lines. We had to drill those ourselves. And what we actually did was cut open one of these cheap thin pipes and use it as a mold. We just place it on top and then drill everywhere where there was a hole. This is the end of day 2. We have our French drain laid in the top trench, and then we've got our gutters here that are being collected from those downspouts going into the sump pit. And then we'll have to put the discharge line going back out that trench to then take the water to the road. We're making good progress. So we are closing up the trench. Get this covered all the way. Then we can start putting some dirt on top. So I had to dig this part by hand to make sure that I wouldn't hit this cable wire. And it's good I did, because there it is. excavator would have tore through that. So everything was going really well. We were getting this discharge line down towards the ditch, and we ran into a problem. This is an old tree stump, about 12 inches wide. Can't cut through it, can't go under it, can't go over it. So I just went to Home Depot and got a couple new parts, and we're going to try to go around it. So we'll see how it works. Look at all these roots in this trench from that old stump that I had to go around. So I was digging this by hand because I knew there was a water line from my weld house into the main house, and there it is, about 12 inches deep. So now I gotta find the electrical, which is coming right here. It goes over there too. So we uncovered small 14 gauge wire, which is not sufficient for the circuit that it's on to run our well pump. So we're gonna have to pull that out and replace that as well with 10 gauge wire. So here we're putting in the last 2 trenches of French drain, and we placed them here to help absorb the groundwater from these areas that were just so wet last winter. So I wanted to use 2 basins for this project instead of 1, just because of with the number of pipes that were going to be collected here, it would have been extremely hard to fit them into 1 basin. And then also having 2 basins that are connected allows for more water to build up. So each time the pump kicks on, it can pump more water and pump for longer. And so it doesn't have to cycle on and off as frequently. So what I'm doing now is getting ready to run my electrical line from the sump pump to the breaker box in the shed. And I've got to put it in this 3/4 inch plastic conduit just as protection in case someone were to dig and accidentally hit it. And so this is waterproof wiring, and in order to get this through, I have to use this fancy tool called a wire puller. I'll show you how it works. I've got my wire connected to the wire puller. We'll see if we can get it through this pipe. This was the last trench I had to dig. This is gonna be for the outdoor electrical wire. Just gonna have an outlet right there so the sump pump can go in that basin and connect to it. So I just gotta get this cleared out. Gotta drop down the wire in it and cover it up. We're done with that part. Then I still gotta wire it. So this is a landscape rake, and that thing spins pretty fast. It's got knobs that are about 1 inch, and so it just kind of fluffs up the soil and makes it ready for grass to be planted. So you'll see this has a pump with a cord that's hooked up to this electrical outlet that we ran, and that electrical is underground and connects to the shed. So I have a little more work here to do to just get this covered up and finished. I also have 2 lids to put on these, and then I can bury them with either dirt or gravel. And you'll see here, this pump is connected to what's called a check valve, and it allows the water to go only in one direction. And so the water that gets pushed up through the pump won't come back down in because it's connected to the check valve. So we're getting a really good rain shower right now, and you'll see that pipe is dumping water from the gutters. That pipe is dumping water from the gutters, and the water's flowing between the two. Still hasn't raised up the float yet, so that needs to rise to the top before the pump will kick on. But we're getting ready. We'll see it soon. And there the water goes, into the drainage ditch and away from our yard. So it's been a little over 2 weeks since I planted the grass, and you can see all the little green shoots starting to come up. We'll have to check on it again in 2 more weeks. Nearly 4 weeks after planting the grass, and we're almost there. And I think this right here will be the very final video, because this is 6 weeks after I planted the grass. That right there is a summer grass that'll turn green when it warms up. But I'm pretty happy.